Our next presenter this morning, I've known since I was a little girl, Bruce Spencer from Spencer Brothers. Originally, he started another business, so we would call him a serial entrepreneur. So I know it does sound a little criminal, but anyway, Bruce Spencer.
Good morning. I don't have this nice slide presentation that Mayor had. I've got notes. And I'm going to have to scoot right through this because 6 minutes is pretty fast. But yes, I'm Bruce Spencer with Spencer Brothers Properties, and we basically rent commercial real estate. But that's not what I'm going to talk to you about this morning. I'm going to tell you how I came to Madisonville, how we got here, what we went through to get here, and anyway, that's what that is. Just a side note that, and I'll get back to this later, but this Friday I have an anniversary coming, and you'll know by the time I get to the end of this how that may not have happened. So it was challenging. I went to work for a commercial refrigeration company in Rockford, Illinois in 1965, and I worked there until 1973. That's where I got my training in refrigeration. In 1970, we had, I was well into the training. We had built our dream house, if you would. And in 72, I decided, I don't want to be an employee anymore. I want to be in the refrigeration business. So my wife, that sounds okay. She's thinking running a refrigeration business in Rockford, Illinois. Well, we talked about it for a little while, and in January of 1973, Rockford, Illinois, we had 3 weeks in a row, the high of the day never got above 0. And we went to New Orleans for vacation. Coming back through Madisonville, kind of looked at, this looks promising, And it was just a few weeks after that, we made another trip down here and kind of did a little homework and all this. And it took me a little while that I decided Madisonville's the place. This is where we're going. She wasn't happy about that. And actually, but she thought it was just a fluke. It would blow over. And once I got to the point where I had made that decision, and my brother Terry, he was over at the house one night, and I just asked him, just he and I, how would you like to get, told him what I was doing. I was going to Madisonville, I was going to open a refrigeration business. How would you like to come be a partner? There was a surprise. He didn't say, I'll think about it or tell me more about it or anything. Yeah, okay, I'll go. He just got back from Vietnam. And he said, yeah, I'll go. We set things in motion then. We began buying tools and equipment and stuff we were going to need to get started and kind of hoarding them, filling up our garages and stuff like that. I had an opportunity to buy a Jewel food store because that's kind of what we did. We remodeled grocery stores in northern Illinois and southern Wisconsin in the Chicago area. And I bought this Jewel food store. It was about the size of the old Kroger next door. We stripped it and stored everything we could. And anyway, building for our business. I subscribed to the Messenger, and we were following places to rent, looking for an apartment and a place to have our business. And I got a building rented for the business. It was at 34 South Church Street. The building was about twice the size of this room, and we started hauling equipment. Came down and started moving stuff. I listed the house for sale, and again, Joan was not a happy camper. She cried a little, and but maybe it won't sell. Well, in April of '73, the house sold, and we had 30 days to get out. Now she cried some more. To make it worse, now in '73, I was 27 years old, she was 26. We had 2 boys, 7 and 8, and neither one of them wanted to leave school. Joan really didn't want to leave Rockford. She was born there, and all her family was there, and her dream house just went up in smoke. And we were moving to a town that we did not know one soul here. And we couldn't even speak the language. So anyway, well, to make it worse, we sold all the furniture. I say we did, I did, I guess. And sold all the furniture, and we had just bought to furnish that house 3 months prior. This still had some of the plastic on it. And again, she expressed her, I don't want to go. I quit my job. I had a really good job. I picked up my last check for $1,023 for my last week of work. In 1973, that was good money. It's not bad now. But anyway, I quit. She says, what an idiot. And after selling everything, we moved to Madisonville. We showed up in Madisonville. I had $19,000 of everything I had. I'd sold it all, and we were going to start a business and buy furniture. But I didn't have a place to live. So we were going to buy furniture if we ever got out of the downtown or motel. That's where we were living. So anyway, what inspired me to make this presentation like this is because I just leased a building to Bobby and Brandy Sandage. It's our Briarwood building right across from Spirit Shop. And when I saw them, and they're 2 little kids, about 7 and 8, I saw me 40 years ago. They were supposed to be here this morning, and I was going to introduce you to them. But anyway, I thought, you know, that kind of story might help somebody that is just starting out. So anyway, that's where I was with that. Now back to the anniversary part. This is kind of the final part. During the whole process of this, I don't want to go, I really don't want to go, she never gave me an ultimatum. Because had she given me an ultimatum, I'm not going to go, I would have still been in Rockford. But she didn't know what the answer would be, and I knew what the answer would be, that I would have to stay, so I didn't want her to give me an ultimatum. That ultimatum was always on the tip of her tongue. So we managed to make it through that process, and because of that, Friday is our 50th wedding anniversary. Any questions? I was surprised I got through that, but I wasn't going off. But anyway, that's what we did. It was a lot of work. There was a lot of stuff that I skimmed over that, you know, we had our money. We didn't have much help. In fact, I don't know that we even asked for any help. Maybe there was help available. But we had our money. We lived within that money. And we had some pretty major accounts to walk into Madisonville. We had done our homework. We had checked with UC Dairy, Goldenrod, and their service tech had just died. We did the yellow pages and all that. There was nobody in this town that did refrigeration. There was heating and air. That's not refrigeration. Kroger and all these other grocery stores and then all the IGAs, they have refrigeration equipment, and it's not the same. We were asking, who were you calling? Louisville, Evansville, St. Louis. We had Goodyear Tire and Rubber. They had a 75-ton chiller. Picked that up right away. Goldenrod, Hopkins County Hospital, the old hospital. They did not have refrigeration capability at the time. Let's see, Edwards IGA. They called me before I even got a ticket to ride out. He says, I don't care, my freezer's down, get over here and fix it. So, you know, that's the way we started. We were very fortunate to have that with no competition. And we had that business, and I sold my share of that business in 2009. And I came down in 73, my brother came down in 74. And Joan finally moved to Madisonville. She really likes it here now, and it's home. But anyway. Joe.
So what made you decide to go into the storage facility business?
The refrigeration business did that. Because really what we did with the refrigeration, we basically got to the point we were buying and selling restaurants, grocery stores in complete packages. We needed a place to store that. And anytime we'd go to buy someplace, if we didn't have the money, we'd run to somebody like Denise, say, Denise, I need some money to buy this, you know, whatever. She said, I don't want that junk for collateral, I want real estate. So consequently, she'd give us the loan, but we needed storage space. And we had warehouses scattered all over town, so if somebody wanted to buy a piece of equipment, it was a matter, I had to look on my inventory sheet and see where it was. And we'd see this big warehouse, and it was crammed full. The piece we wanted was against that back wall. I said, you know, we need a building with doors all the way around it. Well, let's put up a storage building. We can rent out some of them to help pay for it, but basically we're going to use it for our equipment storage. And they rented all our spaces, so we put up another one. Well, now that 450 units later, we've got a storage building. So, anyway.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Being born and raised here, sometimes we hear negative things about Madisonville, but you chose Madisonville. I think it's good for us to hear why you chose Madisonville, so that's something we can take.
You know, I was never regretted it, but I think hindsight, I probably didn't do a thorough job of looking at Madisonville, but I always liked everything I saw. Mainly I'd drive around, I'd see the businesses were here that had the equipment that we worked on. I was a good service tech, I've been that for a long time, and I know somebody's fixing this stuff because it just needs fixing. And when we talked to people, and you know, everybody was receptive. Yeah, I have no regrets of moving to Madisonville. Madisonville's been wonderful for us. And so I heard for years, you're not from around here. You know, it wasn't meant in a bad way, it's just the way it was. And I struggled with the language, and I'll tell you why, or how. I had a phone call once from a fellow in Nortonville. I swear his name had 4 syllables to it. He said it, I asked him 3 times to repeat it, and I finally said, can you spell it? R-I-C-E, rice. I couldn't understand it. So, anyway. More questions?
You talked about the day, you know, coming to that point where you decided you didn't want to be an employee anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people kind of go through that, whether they make that jump or not. But what was it that pushed you? What was your tipping point on that?
It was a control issue. The job I had paid very well, but it was high pressure. And to the point where we were union. You work for the union, you're assigned to the company. I can tell you horror stories about leaving customers down with refrigeration and walked off and left them and should have got fired, didn't. But anyway, customers that I felt weren't worth dealing with, but I had to deal with them because I had a boss that says, you got to go deal with them. Now, when I moved to Madisonville, people are the same. You still have people that aren't worth dealing with. But now it's my choice whether to deal with them. And most of the time, when you don't have anybody else, you're going to deal with them. But it's my choice. And I can say, go deal with somebody else because we're not happy with each other. I have said that. But things really got to get bad to do it. But that was really what brought me into the business because I was doing the same work, but went from really hating it to really enjoying it. And that was the difference. Did many, many times where you work all day, you work all night, and you work the next day. Did that a lot. Because you could work all the hours you wanted to work, anytime you wanted to do it.
But it's different when you do it for yourself.
Well, yeah, no, that's when I was doing it for myself too. But as an employee, that's what I do also. Many times, 4 o'clock in the morning, we had a rule with the 2 kids. Supper time was usually around 5:30. Joan would hold supper, and she never knew when I was coming home. As an apprentice, some journeyman would come along and say, hey, you come with me. So off we'd go. They wouldn't tell me, are we going for, sometimes they'd tell me we're going to spend the night someplace, pack a suitcase. But for the most part, I didn't know if it was a 1 hour call or 10 hours. And so I'd take off with them. We didn't have cell phones. Many times didn't have a phone available. So she didn't know when I was coming home. It might be 6 o'clock, it might be 10 o'clock. And I'd come home, it's 9 o'clock, supper's still waiting, the kids haven't eaten, everybody's mad. We had a rule, it was real simple. If you're home by 6 o'clock, you get supper. We're all eating at 6 o'clock. If you don't make it by 6, you better get your supper someplace else because it's not going to be at home. That worked. It worked. And, but it's some of the things you go through. So.
And you're home by 6 o'clock for supper now, I guess.
Things change. You see, I don't work that hard anymore. I got out of refrigeration and that took care of a lot of that. But it's Aaron gave you the presentation on refrigeration here a few weeks ago. That company's now a $1 million company. Good business. It was, it really changed. We, worked long and hard at it, and it paid off. And we don't have to work that hard anymore. But
Bruce, what's your, you switch gears entirely and got into the storage business.
mhm.
And with warehouses, many warehouses and other properties. And that's a kind of a completely different change from refrigeration. What's been your biggest challenge in the storage business?
Well, I don't know that there has been a challenge because we've been fortunate with money and Denise. Anytime we got money, we never carried long-term debt. Probably the biggest mistake we made, and had we been a smaller company, it could have been devastating. We decided we wanted to be in the mobile attic business. Talk to Frank, what's his name, that we bought it from, I forget. Anyway, we bought mobile storage and talked to Denise, phone call, she says, yeah, okay, we'll do that. And borrowed more money than I thought it was worth, but at the time he was fully rented, everything was, I thought, man, this thing is generating $5,000 a month, and it's worth that. So as soon as we bought it, I thought, wait a minute, he's got all these pods rented. We got nothing to rent, so we bought 6 more. Now we got more money in it. And next thing you know, here they start coming back. Learn something about that. That's a totally different business than the mini storage business, because he was in the carpet business. He could go into your house and say, here's $10,000, we're going to replace all your carpet, and by the way, you need a storage pod sitting outside or 2. What's another couple $100? You'll throw that in. He kept them all rented. I'm not in the carpet business. So consequently, they all started coming back. And now we paid that off in a couple of years. But had we decided, been an entrepreneur and decided, we're going to buy this business because, it's such a good appearing business, we'd have been bankrupt. If we would have gone out and said, yeah, we want to buy that, Denise would have been with a lot of pods sitting over there around the bank. But the way it wasn't dependent upon that for the income. So we got it paid off, and it's still sitting there. It generates income, but it's still not worth, still not worth what we paid for it. But that's okay. We all make mistakes.
I take what you're saying is you don't want to sell it then because you know you won't.
I like the truck. We really use that truck. But then again, if you want to buy it,
No, thanks.
we'll more than I can buy another truck.
So what's been your biggest challenge between the start of you coming and now, as far as going through and changing the business structure? And
The structure changed all the time. Starting out, we were a service company, refrigeration service. We did not have a customer that actually came to our office and said, I want to sit down and talk to you. when you wanted to talk to us or deal with us, a phone call got us. And then we would, if anybody's familiar with 34 South Church, that right across from Sullivan's Plumbing, that's where we were. We went from there, now consider this an improvement, to the old Madisonville Steam Laundry, which still says Arctic Refrigeration on it, which I'm hoping that'll all fade away. But that's where we went. Now, if you came in, we were still in the equipment business, and we didn't have people pretty much coming in to see us. And if you had to come in to see us at that location, you didn't even have a clean place to sit, you know, because it was, we never took boards off the windows. It looks now just exactly like it looked when we were there, all boarded up, and that's where we were. Now, when we went from there out to here, things changed. And so all of that had to change all along. And we rented equipment. At one time, we had 140 pieces of equipment out on rent, ice machines. Everybody was afraid of an ice machine. Oh, they break on you. Well, we'll rent them to you because we know how to fix them. Well, then they came out with ice machines with 3-year parts and labor warranty. Why would you want to rent one? You can buy it and still don't have any service on it. So that shot that business. So anyway, it kept me popping. One of the things, going into business with your brother, going into a partnership, both of those are, anybody that does business advice will tell you, partnerships are generally not good. Family partnerships are even worse. The only rule we made that we stuck with right to this day is the wives are not involved in the business. There's no way our wife, either one of them, would work in our business except like the secretary's off, come in for today, but now you're gone. You need a job, you go get a job. So it's hard to fire your sister-in-law. So that's the only rule that we've stayed with, and I think it probably had something to do with some success.
I'm gonna write that rule down.
It's a good rule.
How much you paying for silence, Dave?
I invited my wife to come in here with me this morning. She said, well, if you'd have given me a little more notice, maybe I'd have came. Well, I wasn't sure how well prepared I was at all. I'm still not convinced that I was. But she says, I probably won't be there. I don't want to see you go down and smoke.
Any more questions?
Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. We had two great presenters today. Our information sheet today, on the back of it, is a information on our Cultivating Small Business Seminar. This seminar is going to have a great deal of information on how to finance your business, information from the State Community Ventures Corporation. We'll have a portion of that. Kentucky Innovation Network, Small Business Development, and it would be a great resource for small businesses. If you know anybody that can use it, or if you'd like to come, please contact us on the bottom of the information on the flyer, and we will see you next Wednesday.